All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Phelps Game Calls, professional grade game calls made for every hunter.
If you're trying to get close with elk, turkey, predators, or waterfowl, Phelps has you covered.
That's right, so go to phelpsgamecalls.com. Get them close.
All right, welcome back to the studio, everybody. I'm sitting here today with David Crane
What up?
and his son, Devin.
Hi.
Devin's in the studio today, first time with me. He, I believe he did an episode with his father before. Where was it? Where were we at? No?
No, I actually don't think Devin's ever been on.
Well, we
the
just talk
show.
about him all the time, so it seems like he's here. We're like, yeah, let's get this new clothes. Devin needs it.
Devin needs a new shotgun.
Yeah, we're just
Turkey
talking
hunt.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Well, welcome to the studio. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like we call it the cave. Does it make you feel a certain way when you're in here, like,
No.
your twins hang low or something? No.
No.
Okay.
Doesn't feel, any more manly. All these dead things on the wall.
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just kind of feels like a room in a garage.
So as we're talking,
Bunch of
Devin is
stuff.
now leaving the studio.
Okay.
He wants to actually leave. So anyhow, we won't go into why, but it has to do with girls. So
Come on.
can't blame him. Anyhow, it's December 2022. We are looking back in the year as we get closer to the new year, and we're reflecting today. We're just talking about things we did this year. How would we have done them differently? Did we leave it all on the field, or do we have something left in the tank we should have left out there? And yesterday was my birthday, and I felt pretty good about that. You know, it's every time you hit these little milestones in a new century or a new decade, new decade, everybody's like, "Oh, how's it feel?" I don't know. Feels just like yesterday. Feels like the day before.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're the same age. I turned 41 a month before you, and
Dang, blowing me up. I wasn't gonna say how old I am.
it don't matter.
When they see me, they won't believe it.
Trust me, yeah. I don't feel any different. Maybe I don't heal as fast. I think that's maybe just about it. I feel a little bit sore, like after working out or hiking or, doing whatever. I don't recover as fast, but I don't feel much different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've hit that point in my life to where I'm like, oh my God, I'm old.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
did. I woke up this morning and my right knee hurt. I thought that was weird.
Did the weather change?
No, I literally got out of bed. I was like, "What the heck happened last night?" My knee, like I torn my ACL or something. It was just painful when I walked. I was like, "This is not good." The first day of my new year, I'm already feeling this weird pain, and I think I just slept with my leg kind of twisted or something, but it went away.
See, those small little things that are just kind of like, you just kind of wake up a little bit sore than you would probably when you were 20.
Had to loosen up a bit, where I started playing.
Well, to be honest with you, though, when I was probably 20, I could probably sleep on a sidewalk, like on the sidewalk, like the back all bent, and wake up probably just fine. If I was to do that now, I'd probably end up in the hospital.
What's wrong with him? He fell asleep.
He wasn't in his bed.
Yeah, I had a lot of times like that where I would, on hunting trips, because you're out there, you're going all day, especially early season, the hours are longer.
Oh, yeah.
We would leave camp at like 4 a.m, go up into the mountain, hike, get back. It's like 8, 9:30 at night, and or later. So by the time you scratch something down, scratch up some food to eat, start talking for a second, and everybody that knows me knows if I lay down flat or I get kind of a lean,
Oh, he's done.
lights out. Yep. So I'd wake up in like weird positions and kink neck and all this stuff, but I'd be ready to go when I was younger, man. Didn't matter. The harder the bed, the better I slept. So
Yeah.
speaking about that,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
If I fell asleep on something like a couch that was, or like a bed in a camper or anything that, remotely didn't resemble a bed, I slept pretty damn good. Nowadays, I'll definitely be feeling it. Like my hip doesn't flex right or something. It's like I got these new pressure points, Anyhow, let's move
Funny.
past the age thing.
Yeah.
What did you do this year that you feel like you could have done, either performed better, maybe you didn't give the effort you wish you could have given looking back, or something that didn't go right that you wish you would, in retrospect, look back and say, dang, if I'd have done this, things could have been a touch different?
Well, there's a lot. So I'm gonna have to break it down by seasons first. So the first one would be turkey season.
So we're going to start out in April. We're starting the
Yep.
beginning of our hunt season.
Very beginning, because I took my Devin, who's sitting with us here, out turkey hunting, and this was his second season.
This is going to
Turkey
become
hunting?
like a confession here. This is going to be like a confessional because there's going to be a time you're going to have to admit something that you didn't do that you know you should have done. Let's throw that in here.
Oh yeah, I mean, and we got that part on video.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is on video. It has not been uploaded yet.
When will it be uploaded?
I haven't.
Never, next to never.
No. Well, I'm thinking about editing it and uploading it to our YouTube channel. It's just a little bit harder, only because when you're not spanking animals down, because that's what people want to see, it's kind of hard to get that edited in there and actually tell the story of what's really going on. That's why I really like this platform. We get to tell our story. People can kind of just imagine what that is like. When you're doing a film, I think if you don't have enough content, the editing part can get a little fuzzy, and might not portray like the story that you want to tell. And I'm not the best editor, so that part I'm still trying to learn. So I want to take some time and maybe do like a couple seasons and mash them all together.
Let's just start freaking knocking them down and put it together all quick. I think, speaking about the editing and, successful hunts, when you listen to some of these professional hunters and they're like, I'm so proud of this buck, and you're looking at it, you're like, dang, that's like, I would never have passed the first 13 that you didn't shoot.
Yeah.
But they're sitting there telling a story, and they're like, I hunted 57 days into tree stand, and this is the buck we were waiting for, our target buck,
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine having 57 days to target an animal? Like, you're like, this is the one we're holding out for because.
That'd be fantastic. I have 3 days.
So, yeah, you have 3 days. So Dave just shared with me, a good friend of his was able to quit his job and pursue a digital career at his home, basically.
Yeah.
And so, it's a different life when that's your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to be a YouTuber and make all this content and videos and then be able to upload and share and create a living that way, it becomes a job, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you love your job, they say you never work a day. Well, imagine working 57 days in the field and being paid for it. It becomes something that's a lot better than sacrificing your career right now. You're like, well, I have to go to work. I got to feed my family. Got all those other things I got to do. How is that going to mesh with the reality of me wanting to tag these animals? And that's where we're at. Our crossroads, I feel, is we, as working hunters, we have to decide, where are we going to spend our time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, we could do things a little better. So let's start off with the turkey hunt.
Yeah. So Devin and I headed out. We were thinking that this was going to be another banging season, because the very first season we had Devin out and we had our friend Luke out, who was on the show our very first episode, and he's been on a couple episodes after that. But it was myself and Devin, Luke, Baylor, and McKenna. And right when we got there, we were seeing turkeys. Kirk,
Yeah.
like, if you start seeing turkeys before we even get into this area, it's on.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, cool, and we actually stopped before we got to our spot where I was taking Devin. Luke was like, hey man, why don't we start knocking on some doors?
Yeah.
Because there's turkeys in all these fields, I was like, all right, that sounds cool to me, and he was gonna hunt closer to a person that he knew, their property. And I was like, well, let's go head out to this area, and if you want to knock on doors, there's farms in this area where you can, if you want to do that, you can do that, but drop Devin and I off and blah, blah, blah. So he drops us off, and he goes and starts knocking on doors. And I would say within the first how
45 minutes.
yeah, we're on birds. And we spooked a bird. We're trying to get set up, and the tom took off. So we kind of circled back, and long story short, we ended up tagging Devin's first turkey. Awesome hunt. We were there for an hour and a half.
This was this year or last year?
Last year. The previous year.
21.
21 or 20?
21.
It was 21.
No.
20 or 20?
21. Yeah, it was 21.
Yeah. So he gets his first turkey. So we're going into 22. We're both super pumped. Like, it's just him and I. He never hunted the youth season. And now, he barely has any left now. He's going to be 16 next year. I think that'll be his last season he'll be able to hunt.
I have no idea, but I'll find out.
I think it's 16 and under. I'm not quite sure though, but so this coming season will be like probably his last youth season for 23. But in 22, we're excited. We both have 2 tags. I'm not hunting. I'm just playing guide pretty much. And we're on birds every single day, twice a day, no matter what. And the one thing that I regret, we had 2 toms come in, and they both stopped. One shot would have killed both of them. And I was like, Devin, are you on them? He said, yes. I said, those are 2 toms. Are you ready? He said, yes. And I just paused because I'm filming this at the same time. So I'm waiting for him to shoot. I think he was waiting for me to tell him to shoot.
Is that what you're waiting for?
Yeah.
So now
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at him because he's actually in front of me. I'm behind a little fur or whatever, filming. So the camera's pretty much hidden, so they can't see that. And they were there. I don't know how long. It wasn't very long, but then they started moving, and I was like, Devin, are you gonna shoot? And they start going, and he, brings the shotgun over and fires, but he fires right over their heads. I was like, son of a gun. He jumps up and he goes chasing after him. Like he was just gonna, lay off another one because he thought
caveman.
Well, he thought he clipped one. Because one did have some feathers go off of it, but it just barely clipped its back, and he jumps up, racks another one, and he's like looking for this turkey. And I was like, don't worry about it, dude. Let's just calm down. We can call him back, and we didn't get another chance on those 2 toms, but we did have like the conga line come in on another time, and that got boogered up because it just started hailing and snowing. Like it was like instantly.
Yeah, it was just like out of nowhere.
Super sunny, and then all of a sudden just boom, hail. It was nuts. I got that on film too, but I wish I would have told him to shoot because he would have doubled up on one shot. That would have been the first time I've ever seen that before, like live. I mean, We've seen it on TV, but have my 14-year-old kid at the time do that for his second hunt ever, like,
yeah,
awesome. But I mean, it didn't happen, and that's the one thing I would take away from that. Like, he's still a new hunter, new shooter. He's pretty new behind the shotgun still. If I have to be that person to tell him, yes, you shoot now, I need to do that. Instead of assuming, that's the bad thing to do. You don't want to assume anything.
Well, I did the same thing with Kirk on our first hunt. I had a tom right in front of me. I could have shot him, but I thought, being courteous, and he brought me out here, that I would let him get the first bird. Even if it came towards me, I thought it was the courteous thing to do, Come to find out, I got cursed up and down, said, if you get a shot at a bird, you take a shot at the bird. So now you kind of cleared that up. If you get on the birds, if you're filming, if you're ready, if there's got to be like a sequence. If he says, are you on them? Are you ready? Then it's on to you, then you can take over from there. And I mean, you were set up, it sounds like, good to go. So,
oh man, we had the perfect setup. Like, we actually moved like 2 or 3 times because I was like, you know what, Devin, this doesn't look good. Let's move down here. Like, oh, you know what, that doesn't look good. Let's move right here. And then we finally got set up, and I'm setting the decoys out, and I was like, oh yeah, dude, this is it. Hit the box like one time. Burp, burp, burp. Ooh, ooh. I was like, dude, they're coming. He's like, what? was like, yeah. And all of a sudden you start hearing them like getting closer, and then all of a sudden they just kind of like stopped, and then we started hearing the putting. And I thought for sure those were hens coming in. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, Devin, do you see those two heads over there to the left? Because he's frozen, and he's just moving his eyeballs around. He's like, yeah, I see them. They're two toms. Then they start working their way down the hill, and they were, kind of spread out. They're kind of 3 feet apart at first, and then the first one stopped, and then the other one comes right next to it, and it stops. I'm like, we're going to double right here. It just didn't happen. So, yeah, my takeaway from that is, for anybody that's bringing out a new hunter, you might need to be that guy that tells them to fire. If it's I would say if it's a rifle or shotgun or something like that, archery, you kind of need to know when to flick one off. Like, you can't really be telling someone to shoot.
Yeah, or
you could just booger up that real quick, and I did that.
Little discussion before on here's how we're gonna work if this happens, and feel free. Don't and I'm guilty of the same thing where that first hunt with Kirk, I didn't shoot and we didn't get anything that day until later. And then we both tagged, so that was a really good year. But I'd say if you're gonna take someone out who's younger or newer, first time, talk about what you're gonna do. How's it gonna go down? If we get the birds coming in, or it could be a deer or anything like that, you have a shot, take your shot and feel free. Obviously make sure you know what's behind your target and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Basic hunter ed, but when you're ready, take the shot. In a filming scenario, if your desire is to get it on film, then there needs to probably be a higher level of communication. But most of the time we're hunting, we're not filming, just kind of casual filming with GoPros and stuff like that.
Yeah,
not in coordination. So yeah, good thing to take into practice is communicate. Move, communicate, and then the plan should come together when the time's right. Got the shot, it's on you.
Yeah, there was a couple times, and to find out too, like Devin missed on another bird. I'm like, dude, are you? Because it went right over its head too. I'm like, dang, what is going on? Because you plungered the one, year previous. Like we should be packing up and leaving. Like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm just putting the front bead on the turkey. And I was like, dude, you have to line up both of them, like this back one and the front one. And he was like, oh crap. I was like, dang it.
Well, the back one is so small that you can't even see it.
Well, that's what you're lining up though. So you're looking down that whole rail, lining up the back one with the front one.
And I forgot that because it's been a while since I said.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like we don't. We do not. I don't take him out to shoot the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll go out and like shoot two things at a target, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, cool, you're good.
Yeah.
But then once you get out in the field and you start actually hunting, and the adrenaline's going, and this, that, and the other thing, it's like we're archery hunters. It'd be like not lining up your bubble.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if they're solely turkey hunters, they're not out there target practicing with their shotgun.
No, you're good to go. You know what you're doing.
They pattern the gun, they make the shot, and then they move on. But if you're like a wing shooter, somebody who's hunting pheasants or ducks or geese, anything that's flying, you're out, you're doing the skeet, you're doing the trap, and you're practicing those swing shots because the things you're shooting at are moving, and the calculation on your shot, how you line up your bead and your lead and follow through and trigger pull or trigger squeeze at the same time as movement. It takes practice getting used to that. But turkey hunt's mainly stationary, small movements, if small as possible, that you need to be effective. And then, just lining up your shotgun with where you want to shoot and making sure your shotgun's patterned, and then that's an end of the game. I don't know a lot of wing shooting turkey hunters, that's getting them on the fly. It could probably happen, but mainly it's a call-in game.
Yeah, I would say the only other takeaway I would say from the youth hunt was I was getting on him for being kind of loud when he's walking. Mm-hmm. He's just walking around, I'm like, dude, don't step on all the damn big sticks.
He's leave one for someone else, would you?
But when he would just be walking around, we're still kind of like still hunting, and trying to spot and stalk, so we kind of hunt turkeys a little bit different than regular folks. Every time he would step on something loud though, and it was loud, you'd hear gobble. You remember that? We were on that flock because he stepped on something. It was like, boom, like, oh crap. We're like right on him.
Yeah.
And we'd set up, and it wouldn't it didn't happen, but it's just like, I gotta kind of calm down a little bit too, It doesn't always have to be all stealthy, but
I think it's good to stay in constant practice, right? I always try to be stealthy during turkey hunts, just like I do during deer hunts. Just because when I'm deer hunting, I don't want to have to retrain my brain.
right.
For me, it's like I walk in the woods one way. The advantage I think to hunting turkeys is that, where you're at, there's moose, there's elk, and there's cattle. So breaking a stick is not going to be something those turkeys aren't not used to hearing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even mean they're in danger. I think the quieter, the things that are going to get a turkey, like a coyote, a bobcat, those things don't make any sound. So they're kind of, they're flighty, they're light, they don't break big sticks. But I don't think a turkey has really been in much danger from a moose or a cow that's over there just walking and breaking the sticks on the ground.
Yeah.
So that could be something where, don't pay any mind to that during a turkey hunt. It could actually be into your advantage, that they think like, oh, this is a good, comfortable thing.
Yeah,
Things
almost use it towards like a strategy for hunting turkeys in that area
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, I've never had a big stick snap and have a coyote come running at me or anything like that.
Yeah.
So in the brain of a turkey, that could be something that's gives them security
Mm-hmm.
where we're hunting.
Yeah.
Go down south or anywhere else, who knows?
Oh,
but
it's over.
Yeah, totally
It's
different.
probably over. But talking to those guys, so when Dave and I went out, there isn't anything from that hunt that I would probably take away anything from. I did go a couple days solo. The weekend before you and I went by myself, and the hunt was boogered up because of there was a coyote, but all the turkeys were on. So that we hunt in an area that's bordered private property, and sometimes we can call those birds over. Well, my tactic didn't work because there was already another hunter, as in coyote, a predator, circling all the trees that the turkeys were in. And all it would do is just howl the whole weekend. And the birds were stuck in the trees.
Is that the same spot where we went?
Yep.
Yeah, it was
in the flat.
Different time.
Mm-hmm. The weekend before.
Same coyote.
Same coyote.
Yeah, because that was a trip, man.
I was like, I might have to bring my rifle and smoke this thing. But, I don't want to shoot into someone else's property and all that other stuff. But, man, there was like 80 birds stuck on this private property. And a couple weekends before, that was the conga line that we had coming towards us, all of them. And you're talking 15 toms and who knows how many hens. You can't even count them. There's a lot of birds.
That's funny that we had gone back to town. I think we talked about it after our turkey hunt episode, but we met the guys from Alabama.
Yeah.
And they were tired of shooting birds. I don't know how many they had gotten there, almost tagged out.
They were almost all tagged out, yeah. And I think they all had 2 tags.
So they shot, I think, 5 birds. They had 1 more to go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know where they're at. I know they're hunting in private property like they lease, but I would be interested in talking to those people.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be fun to try to lease some property for something like that. Because, we have young kids, and it'd be nice to get them on, start them on a pretty fun hunt. Turkey hunting, I don't know what happened, man, but I got turkey in the blood. It is so fun. I love turkey hunting. But yeah, I would say that would be my couple takeaways from that part of the season. There's a lot. Gosh dang.
Fast forward to our hunt. My main thing I think we could have done differently, and something where we probably left them we left them in the field, but where we could have capitalized more was when we were on the hilltop and those turkeys were all right below us. And there had to been, I don't know, 20 or more down there.
Yeah.
The trouble was we couldn't see them, and we're on like a rolling hill, and they could see under the trees. We couldn't see under the trees. That everything was like 3.5 feet tall. So all the little fir trees, they had branches and nettles that were started at about 3 to 4 feet high. So our heads are walking, we're up high into the brush, and these turkeys are down low, and they could see us coming. That was my thing is I didn't want them to see us. I didn't want them to see me. We gave a good effort at trying to call them in, but I don't even know if I don't even know how close they were, honestly. But they were pretty dang close.
Well, I mean, they're close enough to where we're hearing putts.
Ton of putts.
Yeah, so I mean,
What?
they were close.
Yeah.
I
was
mean,
like,
those
"Oh, shit."
canyons, they echo quite a bit, but not like that. They were close enough.
It was clear. That was clear communication straight to
Mhm.
my ears. I mean, I knew that they were right down there and just praying for one, come on up. But they just didn't, and that kind of bugged me. I was like, dang, what the hell? Like I figured a hen at least would come up to investigate, and then we would be able to maybe draw them up. But nothing happened, and I've thought about that not extensively, but quite a bit. And that's the one thing. That's the real. That was the really the only time we ever had good opportunity at taking a bird. I feel during our hunt.
Yeah, we didn't have very many opportunities at all. Like the woods kind of went quiet
Well, we
on
had we had
previous
we had
weekends.
toms calling from across the canyon.
Yeah.
They were like several hundred yards away across the canyon, and it sounded like they were right below us. We went after one bird. We were on that hilltop when we came back, and we actually even set up thinking he was coming behind us, but he was line of sight, 300 yards across the canyon straight,
Yeah.
and he sounded like he was right below us.
And finally, when we put eyes on him, yeah, he was pretty far away.
Yeah, amazing how the sound travels, and it was, I want to say it made me feel like it was more of an elusive animal than it had been in the past.
Yeah, it was a hard hunt. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. Um, I mean, it was only like 2 or 3 weeks since the youth season when we started hunting, and Devin and I had opportunities, a lot of opportunities, and it just didn't happen. I mean, the weekend that I went solo, I had a tom come in. It just didn't come in close enough to where I thought I was going to have a good effective range to fire. Um, but it was huge, man. It was strutting and everything. And looking back, I probably should have shot him, but I was just like, oh, he's a little too far. I haven't really shot.
Someone listening that's like, should have used the tungsten. Should have used the tungsten.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I just didn't take the shot, and I think that was like my problem this year. Is I just didn't take shots. But yeah, Devin, what would you say your takeaway was? I mean, you only really hunted the youth season this year. You did have tags for deer and elk, but it was during the football season, and we've already discussed his priority is going to be football. This next year, but I was like, but we're gonna hunt turkeys, right? He's like, oh yeah, Dad, we're hunting turkeys. So this next year we're still gonna be smacking some turkeys. But what would be something that you think that you may have left out in the field?
I'm not too sure because I don't really remember that much.
It's not that fresh in your mind.
No, not really.
How about shooting when you have two toms standing right in front of you?
Oh man, I still kind of think about that.
Yeah, you'll have nightmares until you smash one. Yeah, you will. You will.
Yeah,
And that's just how it goes.
for a second year hunter, you don't have a lot of things to compare it to, and even think like, am I supposed to be taking mental notes? But as you progress and learn, you're gonna go, man, I wish I'd have did this, or I could have did this just like last time, or I've done this in the past and it didn't work out because this happened, and you'll make all these comparisons to your experience, and then you'll say like, this is how this is gonna work, or this worked in the past. So you're gonna develop the ability to be successful on your own
Mhm.
through your experience and what you learn from other people. But
That's why I wanted to bring you in here today, even though you might not be able to answer some of the questions, but these are the kind of the thoughts that you need to kind of have when you're out there hunting. How could that have been different? You know, things like that.
do you feel like do you think about, maybe I should have? I know you think you should have shot. Like you say you wish you'd have shot, but do you feel like if there was a better communication in the beginning that you would have been able to?
Oh yeah, definitely. Not saying that like that was a bad thing that you didn't communicate, but it would have helped a lot.
Yeah, I was in the assumption that you still would have known from the previous year, but it was a full year since he had turkey hunted. And having a young mind and doing all that's, I didn't really think about it,
It
but
just
I should have just went
it just goes
full
to show.
school on him.
Yeah, it just goes to show if you did something last year. So last year, Devin shot his bird, and this year they got on him, but he's still under your guidance.
Oh yeah.
So kids are always going to look up to you as to like, what should I do? What's acceptable? What's okay? Which makes me even further think about this a little deeper, to where, as a parent or a role model or someone who's taking someone new hunting, they're learning from you on what to do.
Mhm.
And when you teach them the wrong things, they pick that up too. Some of them will go, well, this may be unethical, or maybe this isn't 100% the way it should be done. It doesn't seem or feel right. But in this scenario, they're still learning from you. And I mean, I learned from my buddies, constantly learning from other people, even to this day. And the experience we take away, well, then we know going into next year, right? We learned our lesson. We're like, okay, cool. We're on them. We shoot. And I would say, hey, Devin, if I'm filming and you're on them, you shoot, regardless if I'm ready or not. It's my job. If I'm not ready and those birds are coming in, we've heard them coming in, you take the shot. I should be ready. That's my deal.
Well, it wasn't the communication for him to shoot, but I told him, like, hey, we're out here to shoot toms. That's all we can shoot. That's the rule. Has to have a beard. Has to be 1 inch, and I'll let you know if it's a legal tom and you can shoot. So when those toms are coming in, it's like, those are 2 legal toms. When they stop, shoot. But that was when they were still coming on the hill, and they stopped. He didn't shoot.
Yeah.
So there was a communication, on my part, and I'm new at that too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. So after turkey season, we rolled on. We went into at the same time here. We used to have a spring bear season.
Yeah,
Our game commission has
their
decided
thumbs
that.
up and around the corner.
What's that?
Yeah, both thumbs.
Oh yeah,
They're in there,
mm-hmm.
in their anal cavities.
So we don't have a spring bear hunt, but we do have a regular bear hunt that starts in August.
August 1st.
So we had a little bit of a pause.
Statewide, and it used to be
15
staggered. If one would start on the 1st, the other one would start on the 15th, depending on
side of the
state that you're hunting. But it was statewide August 1st.
So how did that go this year?
Slow at first, because I did hunt the very first weekend. That the bear hunt turned into a coyote hunt, which was freaking amazing.
Successful one.
Yep, and I'm gonna do that way more often. I don't go just to hunt coyotes. I've never really done that, but since that first weekend of bear hunting turned into a coyote hunt, I am actually gonna start coyote hunting a lot more, because that was the funnest. It was just a day. Coyote hunting. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I can do that
year round.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be shooting my rifle a lot more.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some more. That's one thing I wish I had done. Ever since a friend of mine moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
Haven't turkey hunted, or haven't coyote hunted since then. I've gone out hunting and seen coyotes, but I haven't gone and targeted them. And I bought this Fox Pro, and I've been wanting to use that sucker so bad. So this
got a
year,
spot.
Okay, that's the same spot we would go.
Yeah, I know. We were gonna go there one year, and we were driving into like feet of snow. We had to turn around.
Probably would have been a good idea to coyote hunt even in the snow.
Yeah, but where we were trying to get to, I mean, we were, 200 miles away from where we were gonna go.
I'm not remembering what we were talking about. Were you with Wayne?
Yeah,
Oh,
me,
we
you,
okay.
Billy, and Wayne.
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
got.
go to Eastern Washington.
We're gonna go down the Columbia Gorge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're in the Titan. Yeah, we had to turn around in Kalama or something because
Yeah, well, I can't remember where we were, but we're like, oh my gosh,
it
it
started
snowed
getting
like
super sketchy.
foot in 30 seconds.
Yeah, we had the bad snowstorm come in the gorge that year, and I was driving, and I had good tires on the rig and everything, and we're going down the freeway, and pretty soon I was like, pulled over on the shoulder. I was like, we got to turn around.
Yeah, he started white knuckling it, and it was just kind of like, dude, I don't even know how we made it this far. Like, I would have turned around
Well,
40 miles ago.
super sketchy snowstorm. I knew when we got down to the gorge how long that drive is and how steep some of those canyons are coming out.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a nightmare, and I had a feeling like we were going to get trapped down there. Something's going to happen, and I just couldn't go any further. I mean, and it's easy to drive. You just go, follow the road. You couldn't see the road, and looking at the windshield, it was like Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It was just unbearable to the point where I just pulled over and was like, we got to turn around, guys. And we literally turned around, and 15 or 20 minutes driving, we were back into like the rain.
Yeah.
It was just a snowstorm came in, and it beat Portland down. I mean, that was the year.
Well, that's right, because we were like, well, why don't we just go the long way? Screw it. We'll just go all the way down and come back up. And then we're like, yeah, we ain't even making it there.
It was brutal. I'm glad we turned around because they had numbers on the whole thing, but there was like hundreds of semis slid off the road.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Columbia Gorge got shut down. It was just bad. So, we dodged a bullet there, but we even had, white little paint suits we were going to wear into the snow because we knew the snow was coming. We're like, oh, it's going to be a little snow flurry. We're going to be in the field in our little white suits looking cool and calling like on TV, We had this whole thing set up, and we ended up turning around because it was just, you couldn't drive in it. It was that bad.
Yeah.
First and only time I've had it that bad in my life here. But, we dodged could have been a life-altering incident.
Could have, yeah. Could have been.
Those semi-trucks were sliding off the road. I know going up out of the Columbia back into Washington, that grade is steep and sketchy when it's dry and sunny. This is pretty dang steep. And then, add 12 inches of snow to that.
Yeah.
That came down that night. I think they even suspended plow operations and sanding until it cleared. And they were like, oh, let's clean it up now. But yeah, so more coyote hunting. We're going to do that this year. That's going to be fun. Something to look forward to pretty quick here because February, I think, was the time we used to go. And that was a pretty good February, March. That was a good time. And we would always see, there's always the one, as it became more towards April, you'd always find a coyote with their head buried in the ground.
Getting stomped in by a cow.
Yeah, cow elk would stomp their head in the ground. You see this coyote, like, what? The first time I ever saw it, I was like, what the hell is that? And it's a coyote's head completely tucked into the earth. It just beat the heck out of it. So that was good memories. We got through bear season. I didn't spend any time doing that because at that time is salmon fishing season.
Yeah. Yep. I didn't really, man, my wife was on me. She loves salmon fishing. And she was actually asking Dave to take her out because I was out bear hunting or, hunting or doing something. And, yeah. So Dave was salmon fishing a lot, and I was trying to shoot my first bear. I was really going for it and realized that I need to shoot my rifle more. Like, that is my big takeaway for the whole year. My elk season sucked. I've talked about that almost every episode, so I don't need to get into my elk season. But passing up a bear at 485, I shouldn't be doing that. That should have been a bear tagged out, nice, easy, clean shot. But I don't shoot my rifle enough to take that shot. It's not even sighted in close to something like that.
Let's do two things here. Let's play what if, then let's take a little commercial break.
Perfect.
So, where you were located,
Mhm.
where you were, actually, should say, where you were positioned when you saw the bear. 485-yard straight shot.
Yep.
What does that pack look like if you shot it?
Terrible. But I would have done it.
Well, describe it so listeners can understand what you're looking at.
So basically, I was on one hillside, and the bear was on the other. But it was like a V. So, I mean, it goes straight down into a drainage or creek bottom, and then straight up the other hill. And I'm talking straight up.
How far down from where
Oh
you're
my
at is to
gosh.
the creek? Just best guess.
600-700 feet down,
Okay.
maybe 1,000. I don't know.
So we could
That's a
actually
lot.
do the math and figure out the angle of those hillsides. If we just had a number like 700 feet down and then 485 yards across, we could get the angle of the other side of the V. We could do some geometry. Devin can do that for us, right?
Nope.
Come on, man. You're
you're
supposed to
awake.
have that geometry down. So we can, on our commercial break, we're going to figure out the angle of that shot or that recovery, what the angle would have been going down and up and down and up.
I know it would have been. So Mike was with me, Mike Peterson. And he's very brand spanking new at shooting. Good shot. Just, I don't know what is that? The MOA. So I have a turret, but I didn't have my chart because I didn't chrono my bullet, which is a thing. You need to do that so you can get your MOA, because if it was just it's 4 MOA, you're gonna click 4 MOA, boom, boom, boom. That's your shot or whatever it would have been, and you're calculating drop when you do that. Kirk went into this with me because I was super frustrated after I pretty much watched this bear walk away, and I freaking called him right away. Like, Kirk, I need to break down on how to shoot distance with a rifle because I suck. And, he was trying to explain it to me and all this other stuff, and it totally makes sense, but I need to get more into hand loading, which I have all the equipment to do now for my 308, and just get dialed in with my rifle. And I can do it. I'm confident enough in myself that I can do that. I just need to take the time to do it. And for that bear to walk away and for me not to tag that bear, that was like a huge wake up call and let down for me. And it was cool. I mean, Mike and I were both watching this bear, and I'm like, dude, that is an old bear. It's huge, but I have to let it walk because I am not confident enough to take that shot.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, man. Sometimes you have to make that hard choice.
I just been shooting my bow too much. I need to get back to the roots and shoot the dang rifle.
You got to round out all the skills, to where you're like, hey, I feel comfortable.
I just love shooting my bow.
No shame in the game, but if you're gonna pick up your gun, you got to have a little bit of time with that too. And
well, here's my thought too. So I have my rifle set at 100 yards. That's what I sighted it in. It's at 100 yards. I can shoot out to 200 yards, no problem. It's like a 2.5 inch drop. I know that because I shoot 100 and 200 constantly. And that's usually what you see on the west side are those shots. You're not really shooting much further than that just because there's too much brush. Well, when you go to the east side and things start opening up, you can get those longer range shots. And I love hunting the east side. So my takeaway from that is I need to shoot my damn rifle.
Well, let's do it.
Get more confident.
But before we do that, let's take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about my salmon fishing season.
All right. This section of the broadcast is brought to you by Burpaw, burpaw.com.
Use Ridge15 at checkout to receive a sweet discount. Welcome back from that break. And so we're getting ready to talk about salmon fishing, how it went for me this year, and also moving into big game. But first, I said on our break, we were going to calculate the angle of the shot that Dave didn't take on that bear. I'm here to tell you that we did not do that.
There's too much mathing.
Yeah, it's too much mathing. So I actually did do some math, the Pythagorean theorem and all that stuff. And what we did figure out is just based off the estimated elevation to the creek bottom at 700 feet and the 485 yards to the bear, that the opposite slope was 1,655 feet from the creek to the bear. So overall, 2,300 feet down and up just to get to the bear. So we did that much math. But as far as figuring the angles out, that's for the birds.
All I know is that it was a steep sucker.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would have packed the bear out no matter what. I would have made it happen. It would have been my first bear. And there was going to be no way that the meat and the pelt wasn't going to be at my house.
Was it as steep as that spot that we went down when I shot that elk?
Yep.
No way. Terrible.
Yep. You know, it wasn't that extreme because that was almost straight down.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that extreme.
Because
It was steep. I mean, you're probably on all fours, bear crawling up, and there's deadfall. So going back to that shot, Mike and I did like a horseshoe around instead of going down and back up. We went all the way around, try to get on top of this bear to come down on top of it. It didn't work out. We stayed there for about 2 or 3 hours. We didn't see the bear. I think when I saw it walk out of my binos, it was pretty much gone.
On its way.
Yeah, it was going wherever it was going. It wasn't up, that's for sure. But when we got to where the bear was, because I was trying to calculate how big this bear was, because it was on top of this stump. I think it was like licking something off the stump.
Could have been bugs. Who knows?
I don't know. But I found the stump. I saw where it was gnawing on and stuff, and I think it was like ants or something, termites or something that was eating. And I was like, "This is a big freaking stump."
Mm-hmm.
It was massive, and I was like, "This bear covered the whole top of this stump." I was like,
Damn.
"Geez, this thing's the size of a Volkswagen GTI. Like the thing is huge." So we actually went down and back up, and it was a pain in the ass. Mike got stung. The pictures are on Instagram. Like if you want to see him, he got all stung up, and we found out that he might be a little bit allergic to bees, so he swelled up pretty bad.
And the bee thing, we have, and I'm not sure where else people have these, but they probably have something worse than we have here because most of the country does. But we have these I think they're ground hornets.
That's what got him.
Oh God,
The black and I call them
hornet.
yeah, I call them shit bees
Black
because
and
they're
white.
always on like dog crap.
Yeah, they're black and white. And they live in the ground, and
Yeah, bald
you can't
face
even
hornet.
tell you're on the freaking hole until you see one zip by you into the hole, and you're like, "Oh, time to get the hell out of here."
Mm-hmm.
We had a couple.
I got
run-ins
stung in
that
the
way.
face by those. Out deer hunting.
Those things will bite you, over and over.
Well, this one had a nest. It was on like a hanging little branch, and I didn't see it. And I went to lift it up, and then I lifted it up, and there's the bee's nest in my face, and just freaking getting nailed. And Mike's running, he's just sprinting away because he knows that he's gonna swell up like a freaking balloon. And I'm just like, Mike, run, 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 and we're freaking running away. And I was like, man, I'm about to get revenge on these bees. Turned around, I was gonna fling an arrow at it, and I was like, I'm not gonna waste an arrow, so I launched a rock at it. Bad idea, dude. They actually remember your face.
Dang.
They will remember you. So as I'm throwing this rock through the air, missing the nest completely, they started nailing me again. It's just like, these little bastards. Well, they got me. They revenged my revenge. I will not mess with those bees ever again.
Throw dynamite at them next.
Yeah, they got me good, and I deserved it because I probably should never turn around and throw a rock at a freaking bee's nest. But these hornets are not good.
There's a thing.
Not a honeybee.
There's a thing people. It's kind of a saying I heard somewhere. But a hornet, the kinds that grow into the corner of your house, and you could see the comb.
Yeah.
They're wide open, and they just live on it, right? They say those are the good kind of hornets, but if they hide their comb, they're the bad kind of hornets.
I think all hornets are bad because they all kill honeybees, and where our honeybees
Apparently,
are
the
dying.
ones with the open nest kill the ones that have the closed nest, though. So if you have
I can tell you what, those bald-faced bastards, they all need to die. They
They're on
got
their
me
way.
good, dude. I got stung in the face and the neck. I didn't swell up, though. Like, I turned around and I was like, dude, I got blasted in the face. And he's like, I can't even see it. I'm like, oh, man, my face is on fire. But anyways.
The bee's probably over there telling his buddies, dude, this guy blasted me with his face, man. Look at my body.
No, they got me good, man.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Well, we have the same thing happening during fishing season because everybody gutting salmon on the bank. We get a lot of bugs and bees
But how
especially
did the
like that.
salmon season go, man? I mean, I know how it went, but our listeners may not know.
I feel cheated actually.
So what would be your takeaway then? Did you not hit it hard enough? 'Cause I know you were going
oh
before work.
oh I never do. I never hit it hard enough because there's always another day, right? You could go,
Yeah.
the before work action. Before work is tough because it's only a couple hours.
Right.
You go and you get the fish, and I don't buy ice until I catch fish, so I'll
Mm.
buy 'em ice on the way home. But I'll bring that styrofoam cooler, and I'll keep it in the truck, and then I get a fish, chuck it in there, go to the store, buy a bag of ice or two, throw that in, put it in the garage, come back, I'll take care of it after work. So if you see my Instagram, you'll see like all these smoked salmon posts. You could pretty much date those and figure out when I'm fishing. Because I usually take care of them within 24 hours. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'll get them home, do all the fix them up, get them ready for the smoker, put them on the smoker. Because the thing I love the most is smoked salmon, and I probably could gain a lot of weight just by eating smoked salmon. And
Well, I mean, bears
so,
do.
yeah, well, I'll
They're
tell
not
you,
smoking it, but
it's one of my favorite things to do with fish and of any game animal. Or if someone said you
well, I
could have
mean,
some
we're smoking trout too. I mean, that is freaking
smoked
delicious.
fish, is my kryptonite. So I enjoy the process, and the result is really good. So now that smoked salmon here is $30 a pound. Outrageous, right? You're like that. Who could
That's
afford?
not even like fresh.
Yeah. So what I
You know,
learned.
that's not. I mean, that's not you pulling it out of the river. You know that you're buying it from a store. You're paying $30, which fishing license isn't even close to that.
For our listeners out there, what I learned from a fish market is that when they have fish on display in the market, at the end of 7 days of the fish being on display, they smoke the fish. They can't sell it within 7 days. Then they make smoked salmon. It's 100% not fresh. It's old salmon that they're smoking so they can sell it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be pulling my fish out of the river
Right?
or the lake. You know, like
Right?
that. That's gross.
And people all over are like, oh, this is so good. It's not like the fish is designated for smoking. Like, there's probably some business that actually designates salmon for smoking.
Mm-hmm.
But from some places that were selling smoked salmon regularly, they told me, I was like, well, this doesn't look, because I was talking to him about his smoked salmon, and that's kind of expensive. And he goes, yeah, he's like, we keep it in the case for a week, and at the end of a week, we put it in the smoker, and that's what we do so we can sell the fish. But to me, it's just so much better when you get it fresh, and when you do it yourself. If you catch fish designated for smoking, it's 100% better. I mean, it's incomparable. You can't compare the two. And for $30 a pound, I'll take the fresh one.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So that's my thing. I like smoked salmon. I like catching fish. I have some friends that are absolutely diehard fanatics. Like, if you, it's funny because I won't even hear from them, and I'm a fisherman. Like, I'll call them and they won't answer their phone. I'll text them, they won't return a text, and finally I get a hold of them. They're like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "What have you been doing?" They're like, "Oh, I'm like, "You son of a bitch!" Like, so how was it, man? We were killing the heck out of them, and they have a different work schedule. So they just do their thing.
Yeah.
But they're not kind of trying to wait around. They're going to get there, and so over the years, you just have to make time where you have it, but you have to designate some time for that. And so mine is before work. I'll take a gauge of the fish run, and then I'll do my recon on the river. So I don't go online and ask people like, hey, where's the fish? Because everybody hates those guys because they come down
Well,
only when their people are like, oh yeah,
well,
we're
no.
slamming them.
No, it's not even that. It's like you get the guys like, oh, you need to go to this spot, blah blah blah.
Oh,
and
those are
it's
the worst.
not
They're
even
like
like
new, right? New
not,
guy.
well, no, it's not even like on a river. It's
Yeah.
like in a freaking Walmart parking lot or something. Yeah,
You
go
got-
to this coordinates right
Send them
here.
an Onyx pin. It's over there in downtown Auburn. The recon is getting down there before season. Normally a couple days before it starts. We'll just watch the water, and then we'll see what's rolling because the fish will be rolling or they won't be, and we'll just find a spot where they're holding up. And living in the town where the river runs,
Yeah.
we have pretty good idea what the river's done and where the good spots are. Um, but the river has changed a lot this last year, and so I was excited to see that because there's been a couple designated spots. I won't name them, but that river there has changed. It diverted into like 3 mini sections, and then it got a lot more shallow. It kind of filled in.
Yep.
It became longer. So the tail out is not as rapid or not as quick as it normally was. It's more of just like a longer, slow section, and then it kind of goes into a trickle. And if Bill Herzog's listening, he's one of my guys that I got the pointers from back in the '90s. He set us up with our first Corrados, our Lamiglass Guide Pros, or certified pros, and I still have them. They're like trophies on the wall, and I fish them, and 23 years later, just like super good fishing pole. By the way, if you're gonna get a salmon rod, you get your Lamiglass, made in Woodland, Washington. They're dynamite rod. Maybe I shouldn't have said dynamite, but people are like, oh yeah, they just explode.
Well, I mean, if you've had yours for 23 years, yeah.
Yeah, they're
that's
super good.
false.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I had a killer season. I'm not much of a card filler. Like a lot of people go down there and punch a card. I just go down there to catch one fish. I'm going to go down, I'm going to catch my fish, and I'll do what I can do because I know if I catch 3 or 4 fish, then I'll have to smoke that many, and I probably could hold 2 in my smoker. I do bake fish. My wife prefers it baked over smoked just because she doesn't like the smoke. But yeah, man, I probably landed 30 salmon this year. Maybe kept 12 to 15. But I smoke for my brother too, so he catches them. He'll catch
Yeah.
he'll catch a limit and bring them up, and I'll take half of whatever I smoke from him. So that's my fix. I'm down there. I'm like trying to just get away from it all. I'll hook several and let them go, and smaller ones, whatever, and just go do your thing. But if I catch a small, like a jack size, I'll keep those, and those are barbecuers right there. I won't even smoke them. They're going straight on the grill.
Yeah, because they're perfect grill size.
They're right on the grill. They'll fit
Yeah.
on a they'll fit right on the grill. And so I enjoy grilling those, and they're spry. We had a good silver run this year. It was pretty good. The king run was excellent. It wasn't like normal where the king run comes in and it's like August, boom, September, halfway through you got more silvers, and then kind of peters out, and it changes from river to river. So other rivers, it's like October's the game for silvers, September kings, and they have like late fall kings will trickle in. This was kings into October. I mean, it was
Well, that's
like
a long one. That's a long one.
we were catching them before Halloween, and you're like, right before Halloween, the weekend before Halloween, we're catching kings on the river and limiting. Our limit was kings, which is crazy. You're like,
Yeah, that never happens.
yeah, and they were still chrome. So it was just an extended season.
The season in general for like seems like all wildlife was just off.
I don't know, man, how it works with the ocean. They had all sorts of things they were talking about. Bad ocean conditions, the fish weren't returning, and then there's this year, where we just came off of a alleged bad ocean conditions, and these fish go out there and they swim around, and I have the mindset like the biologists have an idea of what's going on, but they're not really reliable. I wouldn't say that information is going to really.
But they're not side by side with a fish just swimming around,
Yeah, that's my point, right? They're like, oh, well, the ocean is 1 degree warmer. Okay, well, what if the fish just moved up a little bit towards Alaska, and then they just hang out? What if the fish don't return? Because sometimes they'll be out there for 4 years. Sometimes they're out there for 5 years. Sockeye salmon come back every 2 years.
Mhm.
So there's different species last longer in the ocean, and we had some big kings. I'm fully, I won't say 100% confident, but I'm pretty confident these fish were 5-year fish this year. They were 20-pound plus kings on average, and there was a bunch of them, and the run was long. So, it was a good year, man. I've had, a handful of years that were comparable to this year, and this one was all timer. I missed a week going elk hunting, but even the people on the Tootle, I'll put it out there. Even the people on the Tootle were whacking them. Those guys that camped down by us, they were going
Yeah.
fishing next door to us. we were hunting, they were fishing on that Tootle right there. They were limited out every day. So
Dang.
we used to do that. We used to bring our pole when we'd go elk hunting, and then if the elk hunting was slow, we would just go fish in the afternoon, and we'd go back to hunt in the evening. So we had some good times up there, man. But they were, I did miss the week. I didn't fish that week, and we elk hunted instead, and I ended up coming back and doing a bunch of fishing. But yeah, man, that's my thing.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I didn't. I salmon fished for my wife's birthday because that's what she wanted to do. So that's what we did, and I didn't catch anything. Neither did the wife, but we had a good time. She likes to do that every time her birthday comes around.
I'm laughing because I remember when GoPros, like Dave had like a Gen 2 GoPro or something, he had it on his head mounted, and he's on the river fishing. He's like, "Oh, I got a big one." He's reeling it. It's swirling all around, going everywhere. He reels in like a 5-pound rock.
Yep.
I don't know how he hooked that rock, and he was hooked by the hook too.
Yeah, it was hooked. I got it good.
Yeah, he's reeling and it's moving around in the current.
Yeah, I seriously thought it was a fish, and I was like, "What in the hell? It's a dang rock." Yeah, that was funny.
It's
That was a
worse
good
when
one.
you get a big stick. A stick that's kind of flat and it swims around, it goes up and down. Like,
Yeah,
I guess it doesn't go as much upstream, but it wiggles a lot, and
this
it
rock, this rock
spirals
was
and
funny.
stuff. You're like, what
Oh
the
yeah.
heck?
Oh, it's flipping.
Yeah.
Getting
I can feel
tired.
him turning. I can feel him turning.
Yeah.
Hilarious, man. But yeah, man, salmon season was good. Elk season this year, if I, man, I had one solid opportunity that I actually took a shot on, and
Which was
I don't
probably
know.
the only elk in that whole area.
I don't know, man. I think they're just, I've said that before 100 times. Like, there's no damn elk around here, and then all of a sudden there's 20 of them.
Well, what's funny? So I was listening to Remy Warren. If you guys want to listen to some good podcast for elk hunting or anything, he breaks it down very well. Remy Warren was saying that he have seen elk just bed down, 50 yards off from a road, and people just drive right by it. And I mean, those things happen. You know what I mean? So I mean, there could have been tons of elk in there, but we just weren't seeing them, and we weren't on them.
My experience this year was similar to that, where I was actually standing on a road. See, I was driving down a road, and I saw this little grassy road, and I thought, I'm going to walk out here and go in this, because it was kind of darker timber between I was parked in the darker timber, but when you walk towards this clear cut, it was pretty dark timber, and then there was like a little bit of a clear cut on the other side that actually turned out to be pretty big. I thought, I'm going to walk up here and just take my time, because it didn't look like anybody was back there.
Is this where you took your shot?
This is where I took the shot.
So Devin and I, when he was rifle hunting, that's where we would go every day. We were going in there because we'd see a bunch of does running around, and I tell Devin, if we see does, that means that there's probably a buck close. So if we're seeing does, there might be a buck. So we'd always go there every day, go and check that area out.
So I thought, and I've told the story, but I thought, looking at the road, it's kind of grassy and there's some moss, and I thought this would be pretty quiet to walk down. So I walked down there, and when I got to the other side, just like old Remy says, in those ferns, but those ferns were 3.5 or 4 feet tall. This elk stands up right there, and I took my best chance. It was getting close to dark. It was.
Yeah, it wasn't quite dark yet, but I mean, it was.
I didn't have a lot of time. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I wasn't like 3 minutes from shooting light or anything like that. But it was just when I could see my pins clearly, I could see the animal clearly, but judging the yardage was difficult because probably the fern height,
Well,
being next
that
to a dark
was-
timber.
It
and a
wasn't
clear cut.
only that. The hill rolled. So like drop down,
Mhm.
goes up, and then it has like another dip, and it's a pretty long dip, and then it goes up and dips again.
Yeah, and then there's
that's
a big
where-
mountain behind it.
That's where the
so.
cow was on that last like kind of little dip. Yeah, it was.
It was a tough
It
shot.
was a weird terrain.
Mhm.
I'll just put it that like
So
that.
I
It was
thought
kinda weird.
I had enough time to pull my rangefinder off my pouch.
Mhm.
Pulled my rangefinder and I ranged her, and I did the best I could. Like I said before, I wasn't 100% solid, steady, rock solid, but I thought I made a good shot, and I know for a fact that I was moving. But just the nerves of that moment got me. I had good a shot as you probably could have presented to you. broadside cow elk at 46 yards. So, but the depth of everything was really hard to judge by eye. Like normally I can judge things by eye and be like, oh, that's cool. You could see the ground all the way there, but there was like a hill, another hill, and then this elk standing like it looked like there was a stump in front of it, and then there was like ferns halfway. And it was just terrible combination of all those things. And then it was like another 100 yards, and then there was this mountain, and then there's the
Yeah.
dark timber in the light area, and it just threw me off. And all those things combined, and then the lack of being steady, but my pin wasn't moving a bunch. It could have been anything.
But it was just enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
that's all
enough.
it took.
Yeah.
That little bit, and we searched for that elk for a while, and there's really hardly any blood. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't anything to be, concerned over, I don't think. So, that was my thing, man. I don't know what I would
would
do.
you take away from that though? Like what
I-
would be the one takeaway that you would take from that elk hunt that you would either want to change or perform differently? I don't know.
Well, obviously perform differently is, given. I don't know what ultimately led to the miss. Maybe it was a deflection of something, or
I mean, it could have been a whole bunch of number of things.
Yeah, because there's literally ferns, just below her, and so it was like it could have been something I didn't see, or I'm pretty sure it was just the nerves, man, because I could shoot pretty good.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I
I
was
mean,
just-
we can chalk it up as just a bad shot, man. I mean,
Well,
it
ultimately ended
sucks
up
to
being
say.
a bad
I
shot.
mean, it sucks to say that. I mean, I know you. You're a damn good
Well,
shot,
it ended up
and
being.
I can't beat you in any 3Ds.
Yet. I fell off my pedestal a long time ago. Not that it was much to write home about, but I could shoot an animal, and yeah, man, I didn't pull it off. I wish I had done better. That day, if I look back on that day, I probably would have shot this little buck I seen earlier. I mean,
yeah, you'd be tagged out, and we wouldn't be talking about late season trying to fill the freezer.
I mean, that probably would have been my takeaway is like, I've given up a bird in the hand for one in the bush many times. I've done it a lot fishing when there's a one fish limit. I'll catch a small one, like, oh, I'll throw this one back and I'll catch a bigger one, and then not get anything. And I passed on a buck, and I was like, oh, I could get a better one later. There's plenty of time. I'm going to do all these other hunts and stuff. And then, time comes around, and I don't end up getting anything or seeing something else. And maybe I should learn that lesson eventually. Like, I should probably just capitalize when I can. At the same time, I have the mindset of like, now, if I do, I won't have the opportunity for something better down the road. So it's kind of an investment, kind of a gamble at the same time. I'm investing in something better or something bigger, or I'm taking what I can get. Those are the two options, right? Pass or shoot. And if it's something that you're willing to shoot on the last day, shoot that sucker on the first day.
Yeah.
My book, So I don't like pushing the clock and the boundaries that far. So I'm gonna, kind of turn that page and chalk it up to I need to stop passing things I would shoot on the last day. If it's good enough then, it's good enough now.
Yep.
But yeah, man, and we had another experience. Luke and I, we had a bull coming in freaking hot. I mean, he was hot. We screwed that up in a major way. But I'm not sure what his deal was, man. And he was we didn't get close enough. By the time we started cow calling, we weren't close enough. I felt like he was confident enough that he was going to call the cows down, and obviously we were the cows and we weren't coming down, but he could see far enough ahead that he wanted to see something, and he didn't see what he wanted to see or see what he was hearing, so he didn't come down. And that's one thing. That was a downer because it was like one of the last days of our hunt. It might have been the last day of our hunt.
It was probably the last day because
You and Mike had left.
we had left the previous day.
Yeah, so it was like we had
I know you guys were heading out the very next day.
Yeah, man, that was So we ended up going back to camp at the end of the day hunting, and we had a good time. And next morning we just bummed around, packed up, listened to music, and cleaned everything, got ready to go. And bittersweet because our good friend Luke, he lives in Tennessee, so he came all the way out here to hunt with us. And it's just one of those, every season, the worst day of the year is the last day of camp.
Yeah.
You're just like, dude,
It's over.
Yep.
Yeah, those last days suck, man. They really do. Plus, Luke might not come back to hunt.
well, I know he was looking at Wyoming and Colorado and Idaho. And
Yeah. I think Idaho is going to be the best bet.
well, Idaho non-resident tags went on sale December 1st.
Yeah, they're sold out. I think they're sold out.
When I got on to get
their
license,
server crashed.
they paused the registration because they had so many people, and I was number 33,000 in line.
Jesus criminy.
Yeah, 33,000 people ahead of me to get non-resident tags in Idaho. And I'm asking myself at this point, I'm sitting here looking at that number, I'm like, well, how many damn tags do they have to give out?
Right now, 33,000.
Yeah, right?
Probably like 1,200.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never hunted Idaho.
I said to myself, well, looks like I'm hunting Unit 4 again. That's where nobody wants to go.
I was hoping. So, my takeaway was my season sucked. There was nothing that I could have done any better or worse or anything except for maybe get some more seat time on my mountain bike because, man, that sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I was.
And you're talking about in preparation.
Yeah, I was not in shape to be riding around on a bike. Like I run and all that, but biking is completely different than running.
For those
I
that
would rather
don't know,
hike in than ride the bike at that point
Mhm.
because my chode was torn up and my legs were dying. Plus, I had to you're biking in certain areas, so you get to a spot like, okay, there's nothing going on here. We got to bike to another spot and blah blah blah. So by the end of the day, you're hammered and you got to do it day after day after day after day. I was not in shape for that.
my bike experience where we hunt back in I think it was 2009 or 8, right? They started bringing gates. Maybe it was 2007. They started bringing gates in, and then they closed it down to hunting except for on the weekends. They'd open the gates. Then they closed it down on the weekends and said you can only walk in or bike in.
Yeah, and that's when I first started hunting that area. It was walk in or bike in.
Well, you started hunting there probably several years after that actually started. So
2012.
well, we had hunted there, and they had Eyes in the Woods and Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. All these people, they'd have people at the gates, manning the gates that had a key. So if you were to shoot something way back on your bicycle, you had to ride to the gate. They would let you drive your vehicle in to retrieve your animal. So the bad part about mountain biking is you can ride a bike, you can get on your Peloton and hustle away and be like, I'm good to go. You put 30-pound pack on your back, try that same thing. It's a whole different story.
With that, with elevation and all this other stuff, like
real terrain, real gravity,
bumps.
Yep.
The bumps.
the loose
Like
gravel.
If they had a Peloton that just hammered your chode.
Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, oh, yeah. You'd be all over that sucker, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. But then you'd have a realization of what the heck's going down. Like, you got a 30-pound extra weight above you. It's not like in your legs
Yeah.
where you're not going to feel it. And then you're bouncing around the whole. Man, yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. It's a rough
I'd
experience.
rather go hiking around.
We went, I got this picture I should share. Oh, my God. So, longtime hunting buddy of mine, we hunted, this might have been day 6 on the bikes. Probably year 3, year 4 of biking. And then 6 solid days. I mean, we're going. And he's like, at one point, he stops pedaling. I stop and I'm like, because I didn't hear him behind me anymore. I stopped and look back. He's like 100 yards back. So I turn around and go back down the hill. Like, what's going on? He goes, I'm not pedaling another pedal. Like, literally, like, I'm not pedaling another pedal is what he said to me. I was like, all right, cool. I'll see you at the top of this hill. So I just turn around. I keep going. I get to the top of the hill. Almost at the top of the hill, a whole herd of elk is coming up the side. Like, while I'm on the bike on the road, this whole herd of elk is coming up through the ferns. I think it was 516. It was right there when there was timber. and they're coming up around the side. And I'm like, oh crap! I dumped my bike, and I dump it quietly, right? I get my bow off the handlebars, and so I dump it, turn the wheel over so I can have my bow up, and I get my bow off. I'm seeing these elk, and they're just feeding around this ferns. And then I look down at him, and he's on his bike hauling ass.
Because he saw him. He's like, oh.
She's like, oh shit. He's coming up that mountain, man. I never seen him pedal so fast. And like literally there was dust behind him as he's coming up the hill. And so I had to give him the stop sign. I was like, don't come. Stay, you know. And those elk came probably within 80 yards of me, and they kind of just looped around this little knob and went down. And then I waved to him. I was like, come on. He comes up the hill. And then we went down in there and got into the ferns. But those elk, I don't know what the hell happened. They were just milling around and walking around and, walked farther than we could walk, faster than we could walk, and they were gone.
Oh, yeah.
But they were just on their own mission that day. But that bike will humble you, and it can humble you from the bottom and the top. So,
man, I thought I was in shape. I was not in that type of shape. I was in good backcountry shape, not mountain bike shape.
the second funniest story, the mountain biking, I think it was our third year mountain biking. And, mountain bike seats are they're not like a BMX seat where they're really small. They're a little bit wider, There's still a good amount of pressure there, right? So one of our good friends is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy one of those big old gel seats like you see on a grandma bike. Just, nice and soft and cushy. So we were like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And none of us did it. We were like, I don't know why. We just didn't do it. But I thought it was a good idea.
Super expensive.
Well, I was like, I didn't want to see my mountain bike with this big old farm seat cushion gel thing, but I thought it'd be cool to get a gel seat because of everything you're talking about. But I just didn't do it. Well, day 3, the following season, we all sitting there talking. He's like, hey guys, because he had this fancy seat. We thought he was like living on a high horse. He goes, hey guys, the only difference between one of those little seats and this big old gel seat? And we're like, what's going on? Because we didn't know. Like, what's the difference? He goes, instead of your little part of your ass hurting, your whole ass hurts.
That's funny.
He never brought that seat back, but I'll tell you what, just, take your lumps and, prepare for that. If you're going to ride a mountain bike, do it with your backpack on and hit some gravel, because the loose gravel really wears you out, man. It's amazing the difference.
Yeah, it's something that you can prep for. You can, but you got to make the time to do it.
It's a different kind of experience. Riding a mountain bike like regular on dirt with no pack on, riding a mountain bike on the street or a road bike on the street, there's a lot more traction, right? So your pedal is more positive. When you turn the crank, you're moving. In the mountains, when you have a pack on and you turn the crank, you're probably spinning a tire. And it just...
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So they have fat tire bikes, which get more traction.
Or the e-assist bikes, which I don't know if you can use those where we're at.
Can't use battery-powered motorcycle or bicycles.
Yeah, not anything with an engine, but...
Or electric motor.
Electric motor you can't use. It's kind of weird, but...
You have to buy an ATV pass to do that.
So ridiculous, but whatever.
Well, could you imagine how many people would have e-bikes out there if they could?
Well, if you can afford one. I mean, an e-bike costs as much as my dirt bike does.
Well, they sell 500 side-by-side tags a year. They're selling out every time.
Yeah.
These people have e-bikes. I mean, they have them already. They're not going to go out that year and be like, I'm going to buy this pass. If I get it, I'm going to buy an e-bike. These people have e-bikes, and they're just waiting. So I think what we're going to face in the future, what we face where we're at is it's not as much the hunters buying the passes, but it's the hikers. It's the mushroom pickers. It's the people that just go camping. And with the whole e-bike thing, as soon as they open up e-biking to these areas, you're going to have 7,000 people that e-bike buying these tags that just want to go cruise in the mountains on an e-bike, because there's 235,000 acres that they can cruise through.
Yeah.
And they have a chance at seeing a bunch of elk and mountain lions and all this other stuff.
Bears,
right?
Yeah, whatever you want.
It's just like,
And have awesome views. Yeah. I mean, the views out there are just amazing.
Yeah, and they'll have a little e-bike group, and they'll just be like 7
That's
or 8
why
people.
we're finding a new spot.
Well, we just go to national forest. That's serious, man. Like, that's the really reality of it. So,
yeah, my other takeaway would be I need to put away some money so that I can get down to Arizona. I've been telling Kirk now for many of years now that I'd get down there. There's another year for 23, I won't be able to make it down. It's more or less a conflict of PTO and PTO usage for my job. So yeah.
So did Disney raise their prices, or what was the deal that came out with that? There was some sort of announcement they came out with.
What? That's not
Park-
why I
Park
can't
Pri-
do
no,
the
I'm asking
PTO.
about.
Yeah,
Impressive.
they went
There was
up.
some sort of deal. I didn't read it. They said they made like an overhaul, and one of them was ticket price or something. So
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that
they
did
went
that
up.
all go through?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Everything's becoming more expensive.
Yeah, for me it's we got a new boss and we had to put in, so I already had PTO for 23 and he said that he didn't like that. So everybody had to put in for 23 PTO, and my PTO got denied the week that I was going to go to Arizona. So I am very ticked off. Yeah, so for 24, I got to try to figure that out, but my butt is getting down to Arizona. I want to hunt with Kirk in his home state and just do something new that's not here in Washington. So,
Yeah, it would be cool.
yeah. Yeah. I've been wanting to do it for a long time and I need to do it.
All right. Well, let's put the gears in motion and get a plan and go for it.
Yeah, and then finish up this late season and hopefully we can fill the freezer cuz it's crunch time.
Down to the wire, just like every year.
Yep.
Pass the buck on the first day.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. But yeah, we have huge plans for 23 for the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast. Some of them we can't disclose quite yet, but yeah, hopefully we have some big guests that we want to get on the podcast. We have the show that we're gonna do, the Sportsman show. Yep.
Dates will be announced. We'll announce our dates and what we'll be doing here shortly.
And our little game plan for basically podcasting at the show and doing interviews and stuff like that. Yeah, big plans for 23, but we need to finish up with 22. So
Yep. What do you think, Devin?
I don't know. I think I said like 4 words.
You excited for 2023's hunting season?
Yeah,
Gonna go out and smack a bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
pretty much all I'm gonna do.
All right. Well, at least it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Get you out there. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna wrap this episode up, and we will get a hold of you later.
that's right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Take it easy.